Siporah Sassoon?
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the studio. How does it feel to be here?
Unreal.
Yeah?
I can't believe I'm here. Yeah.
Well, you're here. We're very
Thank
grateful and we're thankful that you're here. Obviously, this conversation is not an easy one for you to have. We're really grateful to you for having the courage to have it. I think that you'll be able to give a lot of people chizuk.
I hope.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that have heard, bits and pieces of the story, who knew about it. I myself was young when this happened to you and your family, and it shook my world. It shook all our worlds. And the fact that I'm sitting here with you right now is wild. It's crazy. I never thought it would happen, but here we are. Before we jump into all that, tell me a little bit about who you are, your upbringing, where you grew up, something like that.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. So I grew up in Israel. I was born there. I went to elementary school there until I was 13. It definitely was a different experience than most people here had growing up. And summer going into high school, we moved to New York. And we lived there for a year and a half, and then the fire happened.
So in that fire, it claimed the lives of your siblings. Can you tell us, leading up to that night, anything different happen? Anything jump out at you? Any memory that you have from? Imagine there's like sort of two lives that you've lived. It's the before and the after. Was there anything from the before that like sticks in your mind?
There's just so much. It was like my whole life. They were my whole life. So we were 3 girls, 3 boys, and then a girl and a boy. I was the second. And because like my 3 brothers, they were all like close in age to one another. They were like a team. And I just remember always like being pranked. Like they used to just prank me all the time. Like, it was so much fun, and I loved it.
You were very prankable.
Yeah. Because I would prank them back.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So like that's one great memory. Having an older sister is really life-changing, and that's something I don't have now. She was, and she still is, someone that I look up to all the time. Like, I can't believe she was 16.
Right.
And she's greater than who I am today.
What was her name?
Eliane.
We'll be right back to this episode. This episode, of course, with Siporah Sassoon, the sole survivor among her siblings, of course, with her mother. This is not an easy episode to listen to. It was an easy one to record. So I commend you for being here and listening to her. She is a strong, strong woman who's been through a lot, and she has a lot to share. This episode is sponsored by my friends at PZ Deals. The time to get a good deal is today. And where else to get that but PZ Deals? Download the app right now in the App Store or the Google Play Store and never ever pay full price again. Whether it's flights, appliances, or maybe something you need for your backyard or car, who knows? PZ Deals has you covered. Download the PZ Deals app right now and never pay full price again. This episode is also sponsored by my friends at Tevito, Tevito.com. Yes, Father's Day is this Sunday, and how about this for a gift? Let's be real. The father, the husband, he's got a lot. Get something for your kids that will give your father menuchas nefesh to understand his kids are not watching garbage. His kids are not watching things that he's not okay with. That is through Tevito.com. You can get the Tevito tablet, fully loaded, incredible content on that Tevito tablet. Right now, head to Tevito.com. Use promo code MM10. It is MM10 for some savings your way. Tevito.com. Tevito.com. Now back to this episode. So take me through, I guess, a little bit of that night, of what you remember, of what took place for our viewers who aren't so familiar with the story.
So, actually, we were supposed to be in Jersey for Shabbos. My father wasn't going to be home, so my mom Friday, so we were all ready for Shabbat early. And then it started snowing. And like that was like Hashem's way of saying there's something.
Yeah.
Like I'm in charge. Like you're not leaving. So we stayed home. We had like a fun Friday night dinner. Just the kids. My father wasn't home. My mom went up first, and then us kids just stayed and read books downstairs. Me and one of my brothers got into a fight over like the magazine. Like who would read it first?
They're reading a magazine. You're fighting over a magazine, yeah.
And it was actually funny because I felt so guilty that night for fighting with him over that I asked him for forgiveness. And I just felt like asking him for forgiveness for everything and anything I've ever done to him before he went to bed.
You really, that night, before he went to bed,
I felt so sorry, like, and I told him, David, like, I'm sorry we fought. And do you forgive me? And do you forgive me for anything I've ever done to you? But it's also funny that my sister started this thing that she would ask everyone every night for forgiveness. And that's something that I started doing also, leading up to this event. But anyway, back to Friday night dinner, we were finished eating, and slowly everybody went upstairs. Some of my siblings went to sleep in my mother's room. And also something I used to do was I would check up on them before I went to sleep. I was the last one to go to bed. And I just would like to go around and kiss them all goodnight. And so I went to everyone. I saw where everyone was sleeping that night. And then I went to bed. Then all of a sudden I woke up at midnight. I just woke up. I don't know why. And I just felt this heat. And I was like, what's going on? And I tried to get out of bed. I tried to leave my bedroom, but it was so hot I couldn't walk out of my door. So I ran to the window. And I said, there's no way I could jump out of this window. It's so high up, and it's like, I'm not going to make it if I jump. I just felt trapped. I kept running back and forth to the door, from the window to the door. And I started screaming in panic. The heat was scary. And then I don't remember jumping out, but I do remember running down the driveway in the snow, barefoot. And I ran a little bit down the block and across the street to a family that I was familiar with. And I knocked on their door, and they wouldn't open the door. They were a little scared. They didn't know what was going on. Like, I remember they were Israelis, so I figured if I spoke Hebrew, maybe they'll feel more comfortable. So I through the door, I'm yelling at them in Hebrew. And they finally opened the door, and they had a daughter that was friends with my younger sister, Rivka. And she told her parents, yeah, that's Siporah, that's Rivka's sister. I guess they couldn't recognize me. I was covered in soot. And then they let me in the house, and they gave me a cup of water. And like right then and there, I felt like I was gonna die. Like I felt like I was about to fall.
You felt like you couldn't breathe?
I felt like I couldn't breathe, and I was choking. My throat was burning, but I figured it was just because I was screaming and the smoke. And my neighbor Carl, he's the one that called Hatzalah. They showed up, and they were taking me, obviously, because I didn't know that then, but I was in the best, I guess, situation out of everybody else, so they were going to come for me last. And then I just kept telling my neighbor, if they don't take me now, I'm going to die. And finally someone came. They put me on a stretcher, and they ran like speeding. 10 ambulance. They went from one ambulance to the next, and they were all full. And they finally got to a 911 ambulance, and they took me there. And, like, I remember looking at my arm, and it was just like yellow goo. My hands were peeling. And I'm laying there, and my back was like also burnt. Everything I moved, everything I did just hurt, and they were trying to keep me awake. So they just kept on asking me questions like, what's your name? And I kept on saying Siporah. And the guy just kept on saying Sidora. And I'm like, no, Siporah. And I was just getting so frustrated. I started screaming like, it's with a P, like Peter, Siporah. And the last thing I remember was like, I asked them how much longer until we get there. And they said a few more minutes, and then that was it. And then this was on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And I knew that it was the last day of school for me before Pesach. So, also while I was in the ambulance, because I was the one who checked on all my siblings that night, my uncle was with me. I was able to tell him where everyone was sleeping, which rooms they were all in, and he was speaking to the firefighters. And then they made sure they got everybody. So I felt like that was Hashem also. He made sure that I had that position. I don't know why. I felt like I had to do that every night. I knew I was in the hospital, in the burn unit, and in Staten Island Hospital. And then they woke me up on Pesach night. I was in an induced coma for 2 weeks. And the doctor woke me up, and all he told me was, hi, my name is Doctor. Should I say his name?
Sure. If you liked him.
Like, I don't know what he's gonna, I don't know. He was like, hi, Siporah, and he's screaming because they think you can't hear. I don't know. They talk to you like you're not well, and he's like, my name's Dr. Cooper, you're here at Staten Island Hospital. And he told me tonight's a very special night for you guys. And that was it. So I was trying to figure out, what is he talking about? Like, what night is it? And then my grandparents walked into the room and they told me tonight's Pesach. We're going to go to the doctor's office, have a little Seder. And then from there, slowly my recovery journey started. But it was also just the beginning for like many, many years of treatment.
Yeah. Was there, I mean, that's crazy to think about that. You had all that physical courage to get out of there, and you don't even remember getting out of the house. You remember running down the driveway and going to your neighbor and speaking to them, but you were in such bad shape that they needed to put you in a coma for 2 weeks. And yet you had, in that moment, that physical strength to get out and to get help for your family. Where was your mother in the house?
So I didn't know this at the time, and she jumped out of a different window from her room. And sorry. When she jumped down and ran to a different neighbor, to my second cousin's actually across the street. And she had her own story. She was taken to a different hospital, and I had no idea that she survived. And when I was in the hospital, and I was asking whoever was there, my aunts, my uncles, where are my siblings, where's mommy? And they told me they're all different hospitals, they're all being taken care of.
And this is already after you woke up from the...
Yeah, and they didn't spell it out to me what happened, but I kind of had a feeling.
You had a feeling that
they were all... I actually thought my youngest brother was still alive. Crazy story. It was just... The reason why I thought that was because my aunt once was in my room when I was in a coma. And they didn't realize that I could hear things, I could pick up on things. And I guess they were talking about what happened in my room. And I have a cousin by the name of Yaakov, the same as my little brother. And my aunt was talking about him. She was saying he's by her daughter-in-law. So I just assumed that he's good. He's not even in the hospital. And then I found out that he wasn't here either.
Was there a moment where someone came to you and like really they didn't like wait for you to pick up on it, but they spelled it out for you what took place that night?
No, I think everyone was scared. They were tiptoeing around me.
So you came to that realization just from
High Lifeline volunteers that specialize in this department came and they like broke the news to me. And they started off small.
What does that mean? They started off small. How did
And they said, you were in a fire and there was a fire in your house. It was a very big one. It's like if you remember, you and all your siblings were there, and slowly they gave it to me.
Do you remember what you felt in that moment?
I felt a lot of guilt. And I asked them, no one, because I thought my brother was there. And they said, no, not one. It was a very big fire. They kept on telling me it was a very big fire. And then I felt guilty. I said it was my fault. And why am I here?
They probably didn't have the answer to that last question. No. And your mother, she came to you, or
she was in a coma for longer than I was.
Mm-hmm.
In a different hospital. And a couple of weeks after they transferred her to the hospital where I was in, when we were actually across the hall from one another. So yeah, she was across the hall from me, but she was in much worse shape than I was.
Do you want to grow your business while cutting costs? The answer to that is yes. Do you want to save maybe 50% on payroll? I'm talking no office space, no overhead, no benefits. Yes, well, Superior CS Group is here for you. The foreign employees that can be working for your company. We're talking healthcare, e-commerce, construction, real estate. Superior CS Group doesn't only just give you an employee, they give you a case manager to make sure that this employee is working well for you. There's really no downside. These are good, vetted employees that can be working for your company. You'll see the results of having an employee from Superior CS Group, and you will see your bottom line getting a lot nicer looking. That's called saving money. Most clients of theirs see an ROI within 30 to 60 days. So my advice, try them out. Scale smarter, perform better, and pay less. Hit the link in the show notes below to get in touch with Superior CS Group right now. We'll be right back to this episode in just a minute. A quick word from my friends at Growtha. Yes, because maybe you work for a law firm. Maybe you own a law firm. Maybe you're in healthcare. Maybe you run a dental clinic or many other businesses. And what's so important? What's so important is being able to generate leads, not just traffic to your website, but good traffic, meaningful traffic, leads for people who are going to hire you for your services, because you didn't get into this business just to sit back and do nothing. You came here into this business to be busy. And that's exactly what Growtha does. They make businesses busy. You want to rank number one on Google? Growtha are the people you need to work with. Now, what does that even mean? Well, how about this? Let's say you own a dental clinic or a law firm or a healthcare facility in Muncie, New York. And someone goes on Google and they write, looking for dental clinic in Muncie, New York. Got a root canal, need a place to go. Who's going to show up number one on Google? You think it's random? You think they just choose whoever they're best friends with? No. It's whoever has optimized SEO. And guess who does that? Growtha. Head to growtha.com right now. Get in touch with my friend Josh, and you will show up number one on Google, because that's how business gets done. He's been doing this for a while and he is quite successful at it. So if you're ready to level up your business, if you're ready to get even busier, reach out to growtha.com today. Get ready, it's about to be busy. This episode is also sponsored by my friends at La Lechet. La Lechet. Traveling around the world is not always so simple, Because you have different needs. As a from Jew, whether it's dietary, whether it's Yom Tovim, Shabbosim, Lalechet can take care of all of that for you because they understand what you need. They understand your needs. Lalechet.com. Want to plan a trip anywhere in the world? Australia, South Africa, Israel, Rome, Karastir. Plan your trip with Lalechet.com and they have you covered from A to Z. Where you're going to stay, how you're going to fly, who's going to show you the place. I don't know, who maybe in babysitting your kids they can help. I don't know. They can do anything for you. Lalechet.com. That is Lalechet.com. They have this thing also called Lalechet Select where they have current trips that are happening and you can join those trips. You can be part of those trips. So go to the website right now, Lalechet.com. Join a trip or start a trip. But one thing is for sure, use Lalechet.com. Tell me, before we keep going, I mean, there's obviously a lot about the recovery and both physically and mentally. Something I don't think many people probably know about is who your siblings were, and there's a lot of them. If you could just, I think it would be a special thing if people watching this could know who your siblings were, and their memory, I think should be cherished. So you could just talk about them.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I can't believe it's 10 years already.
Yeah.
And they were each so special, very unique. My oldest sister, Eliane, she was who I looked up to for everything. She did all the work for me. I just followed along. Everyone knew me as Eliane's sister. I didn't have to do anything. She was responsible. She was smart. She had the clarity that I think everyone wished they had. She knew right from wrong. She knew exactly what to do and when to do it. Like when I see her friends today and they come up to me and they tell me, I always think about where Eliane would be today. She would for sure be married with kids, and I'm like, 100%, 1,000%, yeah. She would have done it right. And then there was me, and then there's Rivka. She was so funny. She would always put on a skit. She made people laugh all day long. Always acting nuts. But also so sweet. It's actually her birthday next week. We are very, very close. There was never a boring moment in our home. If it was quiet for a second, we came up for something to do. But she brought a lot of light and a lot of laughter. And then there's my brother David. Oh, you just saw it on his face. He was just the purest, kindest boy. Always thinking about others. He was just loved by anyone who knew him, who met him. And if you were ever around him, you would know that he's there to protect you and no one's ever going to hurt you. After him, there's Shui, Yoshua. Also, very funny, but in his own way. He would figure out ways to get out of camp and school, and you would make it like he was doing the right thing. He figured it out, he knew how to do it. And let's say he was left home from school one day, and instead of feeling, I don't know, he just ended up calling farms and finding chicks and bringing them home. Who does that? And when they named the chicks after me and my sisters, come on.
It was all a prank.
Yeah. And then there was Moshe after him. Also the sweetest boy. just so sweet. You saw it. He's just a mush. Like, he wouldn't understand anything. Like, he wouldn't understand why people would hurt other people. Like, that just, he wouldn't, like, be able to understand that. And there were the three boys. Like, they were trouble together. Like, they were fun. And then Sarah was the next. She was only in first grade. And if you saw her, you would just see it all over her face, her eyes. Sweetest girl. Like, I loved picking her up from school, bringing her. I would walk her up to her classroom. Her friends loved her. And Yaakov was the last. He was just a bundle of joy, and he was so funny. He was 5 only. He just turned 5. Also, he would also make everyone laugh. Like, it was just a happy place. And he completed us. Like, he was just funny.
I think it's so important that people know this. It puts personalities to faces and names.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh yeah, I heard about that. 7, yeah, no, it's
like each one is an individual, and they were their whole world.
Right. I think I've had so many people who sit in the seat and been in many different circumstances in life. Chas v'shalom, someone loses a sibling or a child, but to deal with the gravity of losing your entire family, right? Like, how did you get back on your feet from that?
Good question. So, right after, even while I was still in the hospital, I was studying for my regents. I didn't really feel like I had time to really process and digest what happened. I went straight back to school.
Really? Was that your idea, or?
It was just what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I woke up and the regents book were there. Like,
so it wasn't your idea.
Yeah, like my nurses read me questions from the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't run away from those regions.
No. And those couple of years right after, I was dealing with a lot of doctor's appointments. I was in and out of the hospital so many times.
What was the chief medical thing you were dealing with?
So at first they were treating me for burns, and once they realized that I was okay to go home, they sent me home, and I went to my aunt and uncle's house. And that day or the next day, I kept saying I can't breathe, like I'm not able to breathe, and they thought maybe I'm just anxiety or something else, and they ended up going to the doctor, and they made me an appointment by an ENT, and he took me right away. And they told me that I needed to be hospitalized right away. I needed a surgery to have a tracheotomy tube placed into my neck. And that's something I already had in the first place, and they took it out, and I thought I was never going to have to see it again. I still had the scar. So I'm back. It was just not even like a week later, I'm back in a different hospital. And now they're treating me for my airway, and they did a balloon dilation, and they were gonna try other things they didn't really know what was going on yet. It was still very fresh. So they kept me in the hospital, and they kept on telling me, you'll be out next week. Like, And then 1 week turned into another week, and it was actually exactly this time 10 years ago. And I was just very upset that I was in this situation. And I remember laying there, and it turned into, from that hospital visit to going to a different doctor in Cincinnati. Sorry, NYU first, and then I was there working on my airway, and then and eventually the tracheotomy tube was able to come out. But I kept on having to go back to do balloon dilations in my airway once every couple of months. And then one time when I was under anesthesia, my airway collapsed, and I woke up again with a tube in my neck. And that's when I felt, I think, one of the lowest. I was very angry. I just wanted to feel like normal again. I was in school, and I had to have that bag in my neck, go to school like that, and it's a lot of work, and it's also painful, and I felt very embarrassed to walk around like that. And then I was referred to a doctor in Cincinnati who had to reconstruct my airway. Then I was in Cincinnati for a few weeks. And when he did that surgery, they had to really, whatever movement of my vocal cords that was left from all of this, they had to really ruin whatever was there to put my breathing first. And then once I fixed my airway problem, I had to start working on my voice. So then I went to a doctor in Boston who I still see today. And it's just a ride. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot. We'll be right back to this episode. A quick word, my friends, at NRS Pay. If you own a business, you understand that most people are paying with credit card nowadays. And the one thing as a business owner that you don't want to deal with are those hidden fees. Shady stuff goes on in this industry, and you don't want any part of that. No hidden fees, no long-term contracts, no early termination fees. Work with NRS Pay. I personally know them. They are an honest, reputable company in this industry. Whether you choose their clean rate or cash discount plan, they will take care of you. No shenanigans, no hidden fees, no long-term contracts. You don't have to worry about that stuff when you're working with NRS Pay. So right now, head to their website, nrspay.com. That is nrspay.com. Hit the link in the show notes below. Oh, also, you need cash for your business, whether it's $2,500 or $500,000, NRS funding can help you with that. It all starts by going to nrspay.com. That is nrspay.com. My friends, don't forget to go to the Pushka app right now if you have it on your phone. If you don't yet, this app, the Pushka app from Kol Chabad, go to pushka.cc/meaningful. Download the Pushka app right now and leave a donation. And you can shake the phone. It makes a really cool noise. You hear that? That's what happens. And when I give a couple bucks, let's go give some money. Put some money in that Pushka. Kol Chabad has got you covered. Pushka.cc/meaningful. Download it today. Quick word for my friends at Town Appliance. Some of you have messaged me. Yeah, you, Ari. I know you messaged me. You're like, I was dreaming about a Weber grill because your ad read last week. Well, let me tell you something. That wasn't an ad read. That's a way of life. I actually sometimes dream of Weber grills, but not just any Weber grill. A Weber grill that I get on townappliance.com because that's the place you get at the best price. Summer savings are beginning. The grill season is kicking off, and you want to make sure you are covered. Yeah, that grill's that's been sitting in your backyard since 2007. The food that you're making isn't bad. I think it's the grill. You're Craig. You're Jewish. You're a chef. You know how to smoke meat. You live in Tom's River. Of course, you know how to smoke meat. Well, maybe it's the grill. Blame the equipment. So go to townappliance.com. Get the perfect equipment that you need, whether it's inside your kitchen, whether you're doing a new construction, or you're just trying to get a new outdoor situation, maybe some furniture, maybe a grill, maybe some kitchen appliances. The food ain't bad. The grill is. Get a new one. Townappliance.com. Getting back to school, right? That was shocking to me that you're right back in it right away. I don't even know, as if I was one of your classmates, I'm sure someone spoke to them also.
Yeah.
But What did you feel going back to the classroom for the first time?
So the first time, like, I walked in, all eyes were on me, staring at me. It took time until I felt like normal again. And my friends treated me a little different, but eventually, like, I made a joke out of everything. Also, like, we had to give a demonstrative speech once in class for a public speaking class, and I had a PICC line IV in my arm, so I brought it into school, and I was like, "Let me show you how to do this," and I turned it into a joke. But yeah, like, I just tried to make light of the situation. Never.
Right. And slowly but surely, I guess things became more normal. At what point did, I guess, your mother come out of the coma? And
she came out of a coma a couple of weeks after I did. And she had a lot of burns that she had to deal with. But she's an amazing person. And she's so strong. And she's doing great things today.
So yeah, let's continue your, I guess, story chronologically. Like, I guess, your recovery and from where you were right after, you know? I guess the voice thing. You right after, when you went back to school, did you have your voice and then they had to do work and then you lost it, or?
So I had a little bit of a voice, not my perfect voice. They said I got ruined from being intubated and from smoke inhalation, and then it was also on and off. Some days are better than others. But, like, I thought it was a way of me getting out of things, also I used it to my advantage a little.
What, the voice?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like, I never gave a public speaking class unless I really wanted to. You know?
I think just the fact that you are happy, smiling, doing your thing, living life, going to deal, you know, that is, it's something that people would have trouble wrapping their head around, because they're not in it, obviously, right? They're not in that situation, so they don't know. But there's a certain amount of strength that you have to muster up, I'm sure, throughout your life to live with what you went through. Where do you draw that strength from?
I think it's something that Hashem just gives you. It's not something I could explain. It's not something I ever thought I could ever do. Even like when I got the trig out the first time and the second time, I said, I don't know how I ever did that. Like, how could I have this plastic thing in my neck? And I was like, wow, I would never be able to do that again. And then all of a sudden, I have to do that again. And I never thought I would be able to get past that point again. But I did.
Yeah. Well, Hashem.
Hashem.
You brought it up.
Hashem. Yeah.
What was your relationship with Hashem like before the fire and then after?
So I grew up just like every other religious kid. Like, Hashem is here, Hashem's there.
Hashem is true.
Hashem everywhere.
Uncle Maishi, shout out.
Yeah. I felt connected to him because I always loved going to shul on Shabbat my whole life. Like, my other sisters didn't. I would just go with my brothers, and I don't know how much I felt a connection to Hashem. Like, I think I felt it just like every other kid that knows Hashem exists. And then, like, I grew up, I turned 15 and this happened, and then the real test starts, and it's like, everything Hashem does is good. And you can't truly believe that if you don't have full emunah in Hashem, knowing that Hashem's really your father, and it's like he's giving a little kid medicine and the kid doesn't want to take the medicine. And it's disgusting to him at the time, but then he doesn't know it's healing him. just like coming to understand that and forming that relationship with Hashem. Like, to me, it took time, but I'm much closer to Hashem now.
That journey, that journey. It's hard to understand, you know, just the spiritual part of things. Like, everything was sort of stripped from you, and where it came from, it's like, that's Hashem, and you dive into that same Hashem 3 times a day. Depends on your seminary, maybe once or twice, or none, but hopefully at least once. How do you dive in to a God that took away your whole family?
Hard question.
Sorry.
But no. There were times that I couldn't. And I think it's really all about viewing life from a completely different lens and not looking at it as the Hashem took away my family. It's more like Hashem's running the world, and there's a plan greater than we can understand. And I have to truly, blindly believe that whatever Hashem does is part of a bigger plan. And then once you have that realization, then it's, I guess, easier to pray. But like, I remember praying Hallel, let's say, on Rosh Chodesh, and if you really pay attention to those words, it's all about thanking Hashem. And David HaMelech wrote those words, and he went through the most suffering any other person in the world has ever gone through. And those words are so powerful to me. And I think Hallel is a very, very special prayer.
Why is it extra powerful to you? Why do you feel?
It's just like some of the words, the Pesukim that are part of it. Like, he's like thanking Hashem for putting him through like Yisudim, but he didn't kill him. Like, but I'm still alive. Like, I'm not dead. Like, it's really just how he thanks Hashem through all his suffering. Yeah.
If you're hurt or find yourself in an accident, which, let's be real, it happens more than we like it, you need the right lawyer on your side. That's when you call the Rothenberg Law Firm. For over 55 years, they've been a cornerstone in our community, helping people just like you. They've won and collected billions of dollars for their clients. And the best part, if they don't win, you don't pay. When you choose Rothenberg, you're not just getting a lawyer, you're getting a trusted friend who treats you like family. They understand that a personal injury can turn your life upside down. So they go well beyond just legal representation. They will make sure your medical bills are paid by the appropriate parties and that your family is taken care of during this rough time. Everybody knows Rothenberg, so you know they're the name you can trust. So if you ever find yourself needing legal help, remember to head to injurylawyer.com or call them 1-800-624-8888 for a free case evaluation. Make sure to keep the Rothenberg Law Firm on speed dial because not every injury lawyer has the resources to stand up to the big corporations and insurance companies. They've been fighting the good fight for over 5 decades, and they are not slowing down. I hope you never need them, but if you do, the Rothenberg family is there for you. We'll be right back to this episode in just a second. A quick word from my friends at YEEP. Yes, Yeshiva Initiatives Educational Programs. Earning your degree has never been so efficient, so simple, and so worth it. We're talking online programs that fit your schedule. Programs that are built around the Jewish holiday. You don't have to worry about going into a Yontif and, oh man, I'm missing all my classes. That won't happen. Whether it's an accredited bachelor's degree, maybe in business, behavioral science, human resources, cybersecurity or data sciences, or even master's degrees, clinical mental health counseling, business administration. This is the place that you want to check out if you are interested in getting your degree now. You'll be earning your degree with Bellevue University with a class of people who understand your needs and your schedule. The whole purpose of this Yeshiva Initiative Educational Program is so that you coming out of yeshiva or a seminary, you're going to a place that values the education you've had in your life so far and works with you and your schedule to make sure you can get that degree in a field of your choice. So hit the link in the show notes below right now and explore your options. Explore the field that you can get a degree in through Yeshiva Initiative's educational program right now. You know, it's hard because you can't ever compare one person's suffering or challenges. You know, there's somebody listening to this right now that their kid spilled a coffee in the backseat of the car and they're about to lose it. They're just like done. And here I'm sitting with you, and you know, you're talking about how Hashem runs the world, and like, you know, you have this what seemingly is bulletproof emunah, which obviously you developed over time.
No, but I'll flip out if someone spills coffee in the back of my car sometimes.
What?
Like,
What you said?
I would flip out if someone spilled coffee in the back of my car sometimes.
So maybe it's just the coffee. I don't know. Maybe it's just the tolerance.
Like, have my days.
Yeah, every days. Everyone has their days. Yeah. Everyone has their days. But the baseline, meaning the baseline, like someone who's listening to this and they're going through like tough days. They're going through tough days. And they're listening to this, they turn this on. And in no way did they think, oh, I'm going to listen to her because maybe I'll be able to, like, no, they're listening to this, you know, they're hearing a story. But truth is, you're in a position where you could offer a lot of chizuk and strength to people who are also having to get up and deal with things that are just not ideal and not easy. What advice, what tips do you give for those people that are just, they're slumming it right now? They're dealing with not fun stuff.
When I felt like my problems were getting the best of me, and like when I was going down that deep dark hole where it feels like you're just gonna keep getting deeper and deeper down into that, I think it's important to just take one step towards getting out of it, even though it's not gonna get you anywhere. Just do one thing to make you feel a little better, even if that seems impossible. But just do one thing, and it's gonna bring you somewhere you never thought you can. Like, until I called my therapist, until I set up an appointment with a therapist, and then therapy's key. I think everybody needs to go through, and I think it's important for everyone to have someone to speak to. Call a rabbi. I have a great relationship with a few rabbis that I can always call whenever I have a question, and they're always there for me.
But what you're saying is like do something for you.
Yeah.
Don't just sit back and.
Yeah, you have to wake up in the morning. Even wake up extra early. Fight it.
Make your bed.
Yeah.
Or not. All right.
Wake up early, go for a run. Do something extra. Don't let it get the best of you. Yeah.
Talk to me about community. After something like this happened, I'm sure no one knows what to say or do. They have no idea. There's no instruction manual. Well, there is kind of the Torah. It says don't say anything. You know, to speak when you're spoken to, sort of. You know, but what did you notice from your neighbors, your friends, your family that lived near you, in the immediate aftermath?
So this is an answer I'm just going to answer for myself, because every person needs to hear different things. I mean, we're blessed to be part of a beautiful community, and the Jewish nation as a whole. There was reach out from all over the world. My friends from elementary school in Israel, even back then, I think I didn't really appreciate everything they were doing for me. It was more like, I just want to be quiet, me. Why are you talking about me? Being spoken about really, really bothered me. It's just really coming to understand that everyone means well. And maybe if I was on their end, I would be doing the same thing. But there was an outpour of chesed. Outpour from everyone around us.
Somebody live in a special community, you know? Yeah. Jewish people are very tight-knit.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so many more people that just didn't know what to say or do. And,
yeah. We got a lot of letters. It was nice.
Really, a lot of letters?
Yeah, a lot of letters.
You read them?
Yeah.
Did they do anything for you or no? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, someone even told me today, like, just hearing that you still remember and that it touched them in some way is somewhat comforting.
So for, because like we said, people don't know how to react in situations like this. And I think it's enlightening for people to understand that, like, people don't know what to do. It could be someone does feel moved and did feel touched, but not going to say anything. They don't know if they should say anything. They don't know if, but you're saying it's comforting for you.
Now it is. Back then, I don't think, I don't know how to say it. Like, I was just a little kid that
Right.
I didn't really understand what was going on.
With time, with maturity, you're able to. That makes sense. It's like, you kind of like became like a public figure and you didn't really ask for that.
Yeah.
You didn't really want that either.
Right. No.
You just wanted to be treated like everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Today, 10 years later, do you still think about what happened often? Does it live with you on a daily basis? Is it something that, obviously, December time, it's on your mind, or how does that look like inside your mind?
Definitely around like the Yortzeit time. It's always on my mind, but around the Yortzeit time, it's extra difficult.
When you say it's always on your mind, what does that mean?
It's like my life's just completely different. Yeah, so every time someone asks me about my voice, it's kind of a reminder for me. I'm saying every time I look at my hands, I have burns on my hands. And even without that, I mean, my life's just completely different. I wouldn't be where I am today without my experiences. Just living day to day is completely different.
And your side time.
Yeah, it's extra there. You feel it in the air around my home. You have more people checking in. And then it's also every birthday, and there's 7 of them. And then it's the first day of school, first day of camp. It's someone in their friend group getting married. It's all the time.
It's all the time.
It's all the time. It's wherever you look.
You can't.
Like, I go for lunch, and they're with their kids. Like, but.
So how do you live with that? Where do you store that? Is it grief? Is it like, you remember your siblings? What is it? How do you live with that?
Yeah, like sometimes I think where they would be, like if they would be part of that group, like if I'd be seeing them there. If I choose to look at everything through grief, then I wouldn't be living a happy life. So I think like I have to choose between being able to go and be funny and hang out with my friends and make believe everything's chill, or just be a heavy person all the time. But I do like set time to really feel, because that's important too. This is the time for everything.
Right.
And
you said you wouldn't be living a happy life.
Happy life. I mean, that's me.
You're living a happy life?
Yeah. I try as much as I can, like, have fun. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Like, I let myself feel like on their birthday, like, I'll let myself be sad and remember them and look at pictures. But then I'll have to go and do something I enjoy and snap out of that, and I can't let it consume me.
Right. Yeah. What do you want to see in your life in the next 10 years? If you like look into a telescope and see your life in 10 years from now, what do you want to see?
I would like to see myself happy, married, with kids. Maybe with my siblings, like, name as a second name for each one. And doing things to carry on their legacy. Yeah, but like, seeing the beauty in the world and not just the negativity, because there's so much negative.
Yeah. What type of things in their legacy do you want really people to know, to like, if someone's listening to this and they say, you know what, this really touched me, I want to implement in our family L'Zichr Nishmas X, Y, and Z. What is that? What is something they stood for collectively, you think?
I think being extra considerate and thoughtful full of others, and always being happy. They were always just like happy, laughing, smiling, playing music all hours of the day.
There's something I saw. I'm thinking back. There was a video of you guys in a recording studio. You recorded a song.
Yeah.
I think it like came out shortly after this event happened. It was like spooky, right? You guys were singing "Cry No More."
Yeah.
Yaakov Shweki, your whole family. What was that all about?
I mean, I don't know if the schools in your circles did this, but like it was like the trending thing to do was in my high school was like to record a song with your friends, and all the girls would do that. And I think it was Hanukkah time, and we were all home one day, and it was my sister's idea actually to go record a song. She actually just recorded one with one of her friends, and she called up the recording studio and she booked it, and she gave us out like all the lines, like. And it's funny, like I feel when I listen to the song now and hearing exactly like which kid said what line, really, really, it fit that specific child that said it. It was a little chilling for me, but
Yeah. How long before was it recorded?
I think the Hanukkah before that.
When it came out, it was almost like, wow, like this is like the Nechama. These kids are saying, cry no more. Do you see it that way?
Yeah. I mean sometimes, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? The floor is yours. You got probably 150,000 people.
Shaking.
Sorry.
I think finding Hashem in your everyday life could really, really help you move forward. And the more you look for him, the more you'll see him. Like I'll share a story. Once happened to me. I was in Israel on a trip, and I was in Herzliya, and there was something I wanted to do that was very difficult for me. And it also meant for me to get up on a train early in the morning and go to Jerusalem. And I woke up early and I got to the train. And I missed the train, and I really wanted to get to the Kotel, but I wasn't going to have time, so I ended up praying at the train station. And even though I was there, I just felt like I was very, very close to Hashem. And I also just asked Hashem, just show me that you're with me. Like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And I felt like by me missing the train was like a sign that I shouldn't go, but I ended up waiting. I got on the next train, and I just kept on walking down the train, and I didn't sit down right away, which normally I would, and I just kept walking until I got to the end of the train, and I just sat. And there was like another person there, so like I would never sit there. Anyway, I looked to my left, and on the windowsill, my name was just like engraved with like an S, who spells their name. Siporah.
I mean, that's how you spell it.
Yeah. And with a heart. And I was just like, at first I looked at him like, that's funny. And then I was like, wait. Like, that's so weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it felt really cool. Yeah.
Just noticing the little messages.
Noticing the little things. Like, I could have just looked at it, because that's how I looked at it in the beginning. I was like, oh, funny. And then I was like, wait, maybe that's just Hashem showing me he's with me.
It's one of your siblings up there saying, oh, it'd be a good prank. Let's carve her name.
How funny. Another thing I think that I would want to share is, like, for people who go through things and who end up with, like, scars, like physical or just emotional scars, just don't be embarrassed of them. Own it. It tells a story. something that I struggled with in the beginning. I was very embarrassed of my scars. And I was actually, a nurse told me this. I was in the hospital and she was putting cream on my hand, and I was just like, tell me this is gonna go away. Like, I can't be stuck with this for life. And she looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, what do you mean? Like, you want these to stay? They say a story. It'll show everyone how brave you are. And like, I think she's right. Like, learn to appreciate it and accept it. And like, own it.
Don't hide the imperfections.
Don't hide, yeah.
That's beautiful. You said you were going to say something for later.
Oh, the Lag BaOmer. So I was like, I know Lag BaOmer's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the hospital over Lag BaOmer time in Maimonides, and I really wanted to get back home, back to my aunt's house. I just couldn't sit another day there, and I got a very special visitor, a speaker. She came by and she spoke to me about Rabbi Akiva, and she told me, like, why do we celebrate? He lost like 24,000 students, but like, you could learn a lesson from him that even though he lost everything, his whole life's work, he ended up starting from scratch, and he had 5 students, and from that, all the Torah we have, like, that's where the Torah came from him not giving up, and he started all over again. And I remember that still sucked. It was 10 years ago, and that's like something I always think about.
Well,
you could just learn a lesson from Rabbi Akiva.
Last question I have, unless there's anything else you want to say, but you could say it. It's a question I find myself asking often in different episodes. But if your siblings could be here now and hear you now, which they could, what would you want to say to them? What do you want them to hear?
First off, like, I would want to know why I'm here and not them. Because if you would ask me before this, even today, if this were to happen, which one of you guys should stay? Definitely not me. Like, the last one on the list. So, like, I'm confused. Like, I don't know. I kind of would want to know why. And I'm sure they're in the better place right now, and they're all good, but I would just want to know that they are.
Do you feel like a lot of pressure about, like, what you just mentioned? Like, out of all of them, you're here. And that means you have a mission. There's something that, Hashem wants from you, that you deserve to be here, that you are supposed to be here. And in this scenario especially, like, you were chosen to survive and to be here.
So I freak out when people tell me that. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is pressure, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Just don't even tell me that.
People say it all the time.
Yeah.
So right after, that's all I heard.
Ah.
So I was doing everything perfectly, and I think I was just numb to my emotions, and I just went by what people expected of me to be, and
you're trying to live up to that.
Exactly. And they told me you're the last one left. You have to be perfect, and that's what I really tried to be. And then one day I woke up and I felt like I want to do what, not that I want to do, I feel like I need to do what I feel is right for me to move on. Like, I'll get there one day, hopefully. But I have to put myself first to be able to be the perfect, like, the person everyone wants me to be. And no one's perfect.
Yeah.
So
to be healthy, you gotta you gotta be you.
Yeah.
All right, Sipora. Anything else? Or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Really an honor. Like, I cannot believe I'm here.
Well, you're here. Say hi to all your friends.
Hi, guys.
All right. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode. A quick reminder, if you comment down below right now on this episode, comment anything at all, $200 can be yours. We're selecting a winner on Thursday night. $200 can be yours right now by commenting down below on this episode. So go ahead to that. I want to give you guys some information. Talmida X, entry number 2. I don't know if you saw last week's, but Talmida X is an anonymous girl going through, getting ready to go to Israel for the year for seminary. Or so she thinks. Did she get accepted? She was waiting on an answer. Anyways, this is a first-hand account. She reached out to Meaningful Minute. She wanted to write this column. And we are featuring on meaningfulminute.org. That is meaningfulminute.org. Entry number 2 is live right now on meaningfulminute.org. So go ahead and check that out. Hit read and you'll see it right there. Faith it till you make it. We got over 3,000 people taking the Shara B'Tachon course with Rabbi Ben Shushan, sponsored by my friend Shimi J, an incredible person who took on this yoga responsibility to sponsor this class. 3,000 people. You can still join that at meaningfulminute.org/sensible with a C. That is sensible with a C. Go ahead and work on that faith, work on that B'Tachon. And of course, this episode is sponsored. Of course, this episode wouldn't be possible if my friends Bloom's, the official food sponsor of Meaningful People. You see on the screen right now, they have this new product from Sizgit. This is pretty cool. Your kids play with the food a lot? Well, no problem. They just created a product that they can play with the food and also eat it, and it will be fun. Check this out. Playing with your food never became so carefree and easy because this is what this food is kind of made for. So go ahead and check this out in a grocery near you. Pick it up. A big thank you to Siporah Sassoon. What an impressive young woman she is. To come on here and not simple, not easy at all to have this conversation. And she did it so gracefully. She did it so gracefully. So a big thank you to her. Of course, this episode should be a chus for the neshama of her siblings, her 7 siblings who are no longer here, but are certainly watching over her. She feels it every day. Thank you guys for listening, for watching. More episodes coming your way. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We'll be back at you with another episode really quick. Bye.